Welcome to the WWE podcast and our Monday Night Raw review, including thoughts on Randy Orton puking up some dark substance, the absence of Drew McIntyre on Monday Night Raw, the elevation of Bobby Lashley, The Miz as WWE Champion, and Charlotte Flair has her best promo ever. We're going to talk about that and so much more right after this. So we know that you love pro wrestling podcasts. You're listening to one right now. But what about other genres? TV, film, pop culture? Well, there's a really great new podcast that covers all these things. It's called What the Comics. You can join them every week as they discuss the wonderful world of comics, film, TV, and pop culture. The reviews are regular, fun facts are frequent, and there's an attempt at banter. Let them keep you updated on the latest and greatest across all media. It's called What the Comics Podcast. It's available on Anchor and Spotify.
Welcome to the WWE Podcast, your number one source for the latest in WWE news and straightforward analysis.
Are you ready to get this thing going?
Give me a hell yeah! I said give me a hell yeah!
Then let's get this show started right now.
Alrighty, and welcome to the WWE Podcast for your Monday Night Raw review. And yes, sadly, The Miz is still WWE Champion. Although that may be very short-lived, as Bobby Lashley has earned himself a one-on-one championship match next week on Monday Night Raw with The Miz. So, could this be Bobby Lashley's crowning moment? Or does The Miz somehow squeak out of it? Or does Drew McIntyre end up costing Bobby Lashley the title victory? It's going to be a very interesting Raw next week. And with Drew McIntyre being off of Monday Night Raw this past week, it felt a little weird. You know, this guy that was so just completely obsessed with being WWE Champion, held it with pride. It meant everything to him. Fought and clawed and won it at WrestleMania, and then all of a sudden he drops it and he's nowhere to be found the next night. It was a little weird because you were expecting Drew McIntyre to come out and raise hell. At the same time, I understand why he was left off to build to this championship match next week, and you don't want Drew McIntyre inserted just yet with the way that the chips are going to fall. So I'm okay with that. We have 4 weeks until the Fastlane pay-per-view on March 21st. So we do have some time between now and then to get to the match I think we all know is going to be a triple threat. Let's be honest. Early call with this match next week. Drew McIntyre inserts himself, causes maybe an accidental disqualification, and this match, The Miz retains because Bobby Lashley's the one that beat him down. So Drew's looking for revenge, but it's the consequence of that is going to be that he causes Miz to retain. But Drew doesn't want either one champion, so he lays out the Miz, and Drew McIntyre is standing tall next week Monday Night Raw, holding the championship, not being champion, but holding the championship as he lays out his competition, and we get the hints of a triple threat at Fastlane. So that's my thought. I will say, and I can only pray, that this is simply the Miz's flash-in-the-pan championship victory. That they up the stats on how many people who cash in the Money in the Bank briefcase actually succeed in winning the championship. I know it dipped into the 80s. I'm sure they're trying to creep it up into the 90s so that it creates more interest for the Money in the Bank pay-per-view event when that person who wins it is nearly guaranteed to win the championship. I can only hope. I think we can all only hope. Although I have seen some people who are happy about The Miz as champion. I'd love to talk to you people. Whoever you people are. I don't know. There are fans out there that are that are happy. I don't know who you are. Okay? But please call in. Explain to me why it's good that Miz is WWE champion. Or that you would like to see him in a long run. Explain to me why. I'm being genuine. Because I don't understand it. I didn't understand it back in 2011 when he was champion then. And when it was really about The Rock and John Cena, and Miz was a third wheel, and he even knew he was a third wheel and made it very apparent in the promos on air. And I think this is the same thing here. We're getting the same exact dynamic. where the Miz is holding the championship, but it's really about Bobby Lashley versus Drew. That's what this is going to be. Except this time, Drew wants the championship back, and hopefully we get to Bobby Lashley winning the belt at the pay-per-view event, Fastlane, and then it's Drew versus Bobby Lashley at WrestleMania 1-on-1, and the Miz goes back to playing house or dress up or whatever he does with Morrison on a weekly basis. There's really only one thing that's worse than the Miz TV segment that has to happen every single week, and that is Miz as WWE Champion. And I want to be clear, I'm not saying Miz as WWE Champion is a good thing as a heel character. I'm saying it's just not good at all for the company. It's not good at all. It makes me want to change the channel. That's all it makes me want to do. I've seen Miz get beat up 100,000 times. Every time he has a Miz TV, you know that he's going to be the one laying on his back looking up at the lights. He is always made a fool of. He's always the butt of a joke. He never, ever is taken seriously, and I still don't take him seriously, and I don't know how I'm supposed to, and I don't know how I'm supposed to get heel heat or feel heel heat or anything for this character other than just, hey, is baseball on yet? I mean, for real. That's what I feel when I watch The Miz. So those of you thinking, see, WWE's doing their job with heel heat. No. I've had this argument many times because I get emails on a regular basis from listeners who try to argue this with me. That what I'm complaining about with The Miz is heel heat. And no, it's not. It's a big difference. And I will argue that to the death. So, again, let's all say our prayers, whatever faith you may be, or even if you're I don't know, if you're atheist. If you're atheist, then just pick an imaginary God, okay? I don't care what you do. If you're whatever religion, let's all pray in unison together, pray, I don't know, to the east, to the west, whatever direction you want, do a rain dance. I don't care. Let's all let's all join forces, right? Let's all be like Captain Planet. I don't know why I'm getting this vision, where it was like earth, wind, heart, and fire, and I don't know, something else. I can't remember now. And let's join forces to defeat this nemesis of Miz being champion. Please. I'm begging everybody out there to all say our prayers. Okay. Let's all hope too. And this is Bobby Lashley's time. If this is Bobby Lashley's time, I'm fine with it. Now, would I like to see Bobby Lashley win it at WrestleMania? Yeah, I would. And maybe we still get there. But if we still get there, that means The Miz has to be WWE Champion to get there. Because Drew's not going to win it back next week. I think Drew is the least likely. Or I'm sorry, not Drew. Bobby Lashley is not going to win it next week. More than likely. So if that's going to happen and you're going to have Bobby Lashley have his big moment, you're not going to build to Miz versus Lashley at WrestleMania. You have to have Drew involved, which means it's going to be a triple threat. That's why I'm saying if we can get this nonsense over with at Fastlane, have Bobby Lashley in this triple threat, assuming we get there. I don't see any other way. Have Bobby Lashley beat The Miz in the triple threat, which means that Drew is protected because Drew doesn't take the fall and he's not involved in the decision, just as Lashley wasn't when he lost the United States Championship to Riddle. And then you get a match between Bobby and Drew, and Miz goes away. I don't need another triple threat at WrestleMania. Again, let's all hope The Miz, if he just left my TV screen, the sooner the better. The sooner the damn better. So I have more to say about this in just a few minutes as we get rolling with Raw, and really a complete 180 with the Charlotte Ric Flair storyline. It was as if I was being channeled through Flair's body. It was a brilliant, beautiful promo from Charlotte, and it's exactly what needed to be said to her dad, and for her own character's sake, it's really about Charlotte's character here. So we're going to get to that in just a few moments. But first, guys, hey, welcome to the WWE podcast. I know that was a bit of a long open, but I want to thank you guys for listening as we get new listenership and things start to grow towards WrestleMania. I invite you to hit that download button every week or just subscribe. It's a lot easier, right? You don't have to worry about it if you just subscribe. The great part about it is the price is right. Totally free. But if you want an ad-free version, you don't like those pesky ads you got to skip through or you sigh through or you say, oh, another one? Easy enough. You head on over to Patreon and just search the WWE podcast For $1, you get our entire library with no ads. Okay, I don't want anybody to tell us that's not a good deal. That's pretty darn good. So if you're interested, that's available to you. Every podcast that comes through here goes over there, but no ads. So one last thing. If you also want to support the show beyond giving us a rating and subscribing, you can go to our Amazon link. That's right in the middle of our page of WWEpodcast.com. And if you click that link, the banner, the Amazon banner in the middle of our page, it just sends you to Amazon, and it gives the show a small percentage of whatever you buy. It doesn't add anything to your order. It just tells Amazon that we sent you. That's it. So tomorrow, though, don't forget, tomorrow's my long day of life because tomorrow I do two shows back to back. I mean, I have my big boy job that I do during the day, of course, and being dad and husband and all that. And then I get to do 2 shows at night for you guys. And I don't mean that as a task. I mean that as it's just a long night, but it's a lot of fun with the Wrestling Nostalgia and the Mailbag tomorrow night. I do back to back, one right after the other. So I've been getting a lot of voicemails today. I don't know what it is you guys decided, like, kind of last minute to slam me with voicemails. If you're interested, you can still do that at 518-952-0247. That is available to you to call us or email us at realwwepodcast@gmail.com for your emails, or Instagram. Some people have sent me messages on Instagram. So, oh, by the way, my Twitter, wrestling_audio, if you want to chat me up on there. Last thing, I promise, Sunday night, Ashley will be joining me for real this time to talk about the weekend review. As you know, I mean, I was very, very disappointed, angry, all the emotions from our lost conversation because of a silly technical glitch on my end, not hers. But she will be here Sunday night, so I'm announcing it. So now, universe, don't F it up. Okay? So she will be back Sunday night to discuss Raw, SmackDown, and the final Elimination Chamber, kind of putting a bow on the whole thing, kind of the final wrap-up with Ashley this Sunday night. I'm declaring it. Damn it, it's going to happen. All right, so back to Monday Night Raw. Let's talk about the Charlotte deal, because I really enjoyed this promo. I talked about some of the frustrations. Let's talk about some of the good stuff. And that is Charlotte Flair. Now, first of all, the match that she had with Asuka as her tag team partner against Nia Jax and Shayna Baszler, probably their best match that they've had to date as a tag team. It was really good. I mean, even Nia Jax didn't injure somebody. I mean, that's how you know it's a good match. But no, it really was. It was very good on all fronts. All 4 ladies did a very nice job. I enjoyed the heck out of it, and it really got me involved. And in a match that I really didn't care to see, because I've seen it so much as of late, and I don't want them back in the tag team scene anyway, tag team championship scene. So I was kind of rooting against Charlotte and Asuka winning because I don't want them as tag team champions. And if those of you that are on the same boat, we got an encouraging sign as Charlotte accidentally hits Asuka with a boot to the face, which ends up costing her the match. Them the match. And after they lost, we got a frustrated Asuka not accepting the handshake of Charlotte. Boy, what a fragile friendship they had. I mean, you would have thought that they were just best friends since first grade, and they grew up together, and I mean, it feels like they dated at one point. I mean, for real, I mean, the way that they embraced upon Charlotte's return, remember that? Remember when she came back? And they just were so giddy about one another, they were holding hands on commentary. You don't believe me? Go back and watch. I'm not kidding. They couldn't get enough of each other, and it was told to us that it was all out of respect. Oh, it's respect. Oh, okay. But that all went out the window very quickly with one miscommunication. So, but I'm not complaining about it. I'm just giving you guys a little bit of the insight into this whole story arc with Charlotte and Asuka. It's been a little bit of a weird ride. And so we got the accidental, and I do believe it was accidental, boot to the face to Asuka by Charlotte. And again, that's the very first signs, as it typically is, of a split in the seams, of a eventual road to a match. And that's exactly what this is going to be. Not at Fastlane. I think it's going to evolve all the way to WrestleMania between Asuka and Charlotte. And they certainly have a history to go on. You certainly have a history to go on with Asuka losing or having her streak broken by Charlotte at WrestleMania. They've had how many matches together? They work very well together. And that's what this is ultimately getting to, I think. Now, you also throw in the little video package that we got this past Monday night about the nightmare Rhea Ripley coming soon to Monday Night Raw, to a theater near you. That's what it feels like they're going to say. But Rhea Ripley is coming to Raw. She's having her big final call-up. I am so excited about this because not only is Rhea Ripley, I think, at the top of her game, better than she's ever been, but the Raw Women's division could sure use a kick in the pants. I mean, they really could, right? Like, you have, of course, Asuka, who is as bland as she's ever been, and yet she's holding the Raw Women's Championship, and she's held it, that they never talk about. They don't talk about it because they're not going to focus on it, because they haven't focused on the Raw Women's Championship in about 4 months or more. That she's been champion, that Asuka has been champion since May. Do you remember? Becky Lynch awarded it to her. Asuka was a heel at the time, and they just made her a babyface after she got so excited that Becky Lynch was pregnant, that apparently is what turned her into a babyface. So she has been champion. How long is that? Since May. We're going on 8 months? More? 9 months? 9 months? That Asuka's been champion and is the most underwhelming long reign as champion that I've ever seen in the women's division in the modern era. It's bad. And that sucks because Asuka's awesome. She's really like top 3. If not, you could argue she's the best in the women's division as a whole in WWE. You could argue she's that good. She's very good. And it really sucks that you have Asuka, of all people, holding it, which is the only thing that is not that's keeping the women's championship from losing all value, is the fact that Asuka's holding it. So it's retaining water a little bit better than if it was, I don't know, around the waist of like Dana Brooke or something, right? So I'm puzzled on a weekly basis. When's the last time the Raw Women's Championship was defended? I mean, it was ignored at the Elimination Chamber. Completely ignored. It's a lost cause right now. And I'm not saying you can't easily bring it back to the forefront. You can. But it's barely talked about. People aren't chasing it. Nobody's even talking about it. It's kind of one of those, oh yeah, by the way, she's the champion. No one's contending. No one's talking. No one's attacking Asuka. No one's doing anything to bring focus to what it should be, and that's championships. And that's one of 2 major championships for the women in WWE. And don't give me the tag team division. Okay, there is no tag team division. You're throwing tag teams together on the women's side to create tag team matches because you don't have a tag team division. The men barely have a tag team division, much less the women. So it's just a sad state of affairs what they've done. Just completely taking the Raw Women's Championship and shoving it under the rug for like the last 4 months. And you could argue, well, Asuka didn't have anyone to work with. BS. Even if you weren't going to have her drop the title, why not give the opportunity to women that normally wouldn't get an opportunity? Like Dana Brooke. Right? Like Dana Brooke, Mandy Rose. Hell, Mandy Rose. I don't even care at this point. But instead, the other option, they chose option B, which is keep it around the waist of Asuka. Just pretend that she's not really champion because no one's really asking her to have a match. No one really seems to care to chase it, which inherently devalues something because apparently nobody wants it. Supply and demand, guys. And let's just hide it. I mean, she might as well just not wear it out to Monday Night Raw. Just leave it in the back. And I'm not blaming Asuka on this, guys. I'm a huge Asuka fan. I'm blaming creative. I'm blaming Vince. That's what I'm blaming. I mean, you can't even have somebody that you know is not going to win at least get an opportunity and help the talent elevate themselves by giving women who might normally not get an opportunity. And instead, it's all about the Charlotte Flair nonsense, which I have been completely destroying over the last several weeks of how silly it was and the pregnancy thing and the fact Charlotte's the one who's really the biggest victim here because it shouldn't be about her dad, even if they're trying to bring Rick in because they think it might help Charlotte. The only option, and there's only one option, that will never help Charlotte. The sooner that Charlotte detaches from Rick, the better. And she did, and then they bring him back. I don't need Rick out there in a storyline. I don't care if he's there as like some moral support and just kind of like the father figure. Fine. But I don't need Ric Flair out there at this stage of his career taking away from his daughter, which is what they're going to do no matter how they try to frame it. That's what's happening. I know it's not their intent, but that's what's happening. So that's what I've said over the last several weeks. Now, we fast forward to last night. What happens? Charlotte Flair confronts her dad and talks about how she's not focused, that she can't focus on what she loves to do, which is this business. And that she lost her tag team match because of her lack of focus. Now, it was alluded to that the Lacey Evans pregnancy announcement was maybe not Rick's. And that's a good thing. I don't need a Ric Flair baby storyline going on for the next 9 months. So hallelujah to that. And I'm huge, again, it's nothing against Ric Flair. But we're just 30 years past it, guys. We're 30 years past Ric Flair being a relevant character in wrestling. Absolute one of the best of all time. But I don't need to see it anymore. It's like when Hulk Hogan comes back. Well, that, to my mind, when Hogan comes back, that's even worse. So, we get Charlotte Flair. And she's telling her dad that it's not about you anymore. It's about me. And you may say you're here to try to push me, but we all know that's not true, that you still want to be the nature boy. I love this. This was really good stuff by Charlotte. I mean, it was exactly what the fans, I think, at least those of us that have a couple of brain cells to rub together, were thinking about during this storyline. Now, if you like the storyline, I'm not trying to say you're stupid. Okay, that's not what I'm saying. We all love different stuff. This is just my opinion, which is about as valuable as, a breath of air in the wind. I understand that. And this is not something I normally do for the Monday Night Raw show. I normally don't do this, which is give you guys a little audio, and I got to be careful. I got to make sure I'm using the Fair Use Act, meaning I don't take copyrighted material and use it to monetize my show or anything like that. So I got to be careful on how long this clip is. But I do want to give you a little bit of Monday Night Raw with the Ric Flair and Charlotte interaction. I think it's that important. I really do. I think this is a segment that could be the complete revival of Charlotte from this storyline. This didn't devastate her career, but just this lull of a storyline. So take a listen to what's said here.
Ric Flair, the man behind the Raw Women's Championship title. That's what I wanted to do. I want the women to be the biggest part of the market. That's it. And I'm sorry. But if you think that if you have the audacity to think that I'm doing anything to trash the name, all I want our name to be is what it is right now, household.
Okay. Well, I don't see it that way. You come here saying you want to be my dad. You come here saying that you want to support the women. You come here saying that you're my biggest cheerleader, my biggest fan, but on my time, you're trying to take the spotlight. Doing this, you think it's funny? No, when I'm in the ring, it's my time. It's my time to prove that I'm not Ric Flair's daughter, that I am Charlotte Flair. No, I think you still want to be the nature boy, even on your daughter's time. So go home.
Oh, man. All right. So right after this, she goes on to say, well, I'm appreciative of all the doors you've opened, but basically go home. So, man, serious. I'm not kidding when I say this. This felt so real. And I know that this is part of the show. It's produced. It was pre-thought out. And probably to some degree, it was scripted to some degree, to some level. But the emotion in Charlotte's eyes, literally watering up. Ric Flair's just his demeanor about what he was saying to his daughter. This was a really good segment. It felt so real because I'm sure that, like I said, to some degree this was scripted, But there's a lot of truth in that. You know there's a lot of truth in that. Why? Because I'm sure Charlotte Flair, during this storyline when it was presented to her, probably rolled her eyes and said, oh my God, how many more times do I need to be involved with my dad? This is my damn career. This is my time. It is true. And Ric Flair, using the excuse of trying to elevate the women's division, yet it's on his daughter's time. If you're trying to elevate the women's division, why are you taking your daughter down with it? Why are you doing it at the expense of your daughter? Why can't you do it in addition to, or mess with some other women? His logic didn't really have any foothold. I don't think it had a really good ground to stand on, which is fine because he was kind of playing the quasi heel here. And Charlotte, though, had every right to say what she did, and it's exactly even better than I could have put it if I was to design this promo, talking to her dad about what he's been doing and telling him to go home. Yes, Rick, please go home. If you want to come down in a big moment with your daughter and be ringside for something, which I don't know how many moments are left of that. She's pretty much done everything. But in a supportive role, in kind of a limited talking role, fine. But every time Rick's there, you're like, are they still trying to connect these two? Do they need to? We know the connection. We know the relationship. And it's just as if Charlotte doesn't need to be connected with that anymore. At all. And I'm sure she actually felt it, which is why a lot of that true emotion came out of her. It was a great, great promo. Again, I put it in the title of the show because I really believe this could have been Charlotte's best promo ever. It didn't have the robotic, you'll bow to the queen voice. It didn't have that. It was just very normal speaking voice. Almost a conversation that we feel like we shouldn't have seen. And it was straightforward, and it was real. It felt so damn real. Am I making a bigger deal of this than maybe most people are? Probably. But I don't know. It seemed to me if they're going to end the storyline and it stops here, great. To me, there's no need to continue this after this week. Ric Flair should not be seen, or if he is, he's seen like hugging his daughter and walking out of the building next week or something. Where nothing's said, it's just understood he's gone. At the request of his daughter and the respect of his daughter. So, I hope this is the end of the storyline. I hope that they have put a bow on it and said, this is how you end it. This was great. And to be totally frank with you guys, to me, that's the most babyface she's ever looked in her entire career, as they've kind of flipped her back and forth over how many times she's flipped over she's got up to the main roster. A lot. She's always felt more natural as a heel, but if you're going to pick a big babyface moment, right here is it. This is the biggest she's ever felt as a connection with her. Like, I felt emotion watching that. And I don't know if I've ever felt emotion listening to a Ric Flair or a Charlotte Flair promo outside of when I believe it was Paige. I think it was Paige who was facing Charlotte a number of years ago when her brother Reed died. And she made kind of a sly comment about her brother. I mean, that was, whew. If you don't know what I'm talking about, I think WWE may have scrubbed it, but it's on YouTube. I think it was Paige. Those of you out there will probably correct me. But this was great, guys. And what I was getting to is, could we actually be looking at a babyface Charlotte versus a heel Asuka at WrestleMania? At first, when I thought about this, and I think I said this last night, or 2 nights ago, with the Botch Guy, which, by the way, if you haven't listened, go watch or listen to the Botch Guy's YouTube channel, subscribe to it, but also listen here for our full review on Elimination Chamber if you haven't already. But I was very down on the possibility of WWE trying to flip the script and make it the opposite of what we think it's going to be in a babyface Asuka versus a heel Charlotte Flair. I was very down on it, saying it doesn't make sense. Charlotte's much more natural. And she is. But she has shown me something here that maybe she can tap into something that would make me want to see a babyface Charlotte moving forward. Now, I don't think she can draw that kind of motion every week. She's not going to be working with her dad. She's going to be working with the women. But maybe she's kind of found her voice, and that place in her brain she has to go to get to that relatable, likable babyface that's, I guess, somewhere in there. I saw it last night. But perhaps we get a babyface Charlotte versus a heel Asuka at WrestleMania. And you know what? The more I think about it, the more I think there's a case for it. Because, number one, she showed it last night, and I think was a career-defining promo. That I don't think was meant to be a career-defining promo, but in my mind it was for Asuka, or for Charlotte. But Asuka's been holding the belt for a long time. And even when babyfaces that are beloved hold the belt for a long time, you get a little bit tired of it, and you're ready to just have them kind of move on. So yes, it's been hidden from Asuka, from the public's eye and public's mind that she's champion. But once it gets really hammered in our brains that, yeah, she's had it for, wait a minute, she's had it for 9 months? What the hell? That's what it feels. Most fans are kind of just, oh yeah, she's champion, and don't realize how long she's been champion. So there's that working against her. And she did make Charlotte made an honest mistake in the tag team match this past week. And then maybe Asuka can't get over it, and she's a bad sport and just has a hot temper, and she attacks Charlotte next week, or in the coming weeks. We still got time, obviously, to build to WrestleMania. So, just a thought. The more I think about it, perhaps the more it's likely than just the typical heel Charlotte versus the babyface Asuka. Just some food for thought. Did I talk you into it? Did I not? Let me know. All right, let's move on here to another segment that happened on Monday Night Raw. And boy, we go from one extreme to the other on this show, don't we? I'm going to say it, because I have to say it, because I do a podcast, and you know what I'm going to say? 2 words. Bad Bunny. I don't even want, after WrestleMania, I better not, I hope I never utter those words again, or nor do they just get put in my brain. The only good thing I can say about this whole Bad Bunny segment this past week anyway was when R-Truth was with a referee backstage and Damian Priest caught him trying to set up Bad Bunny for the infamous roll-up, because again, that's the only way to win the championship, is that when Damian Priest caught him, we had R-Truth say, "Oh, my bad, Bunny." The way obviously the way I said it's not funny, but the way R-Truth said it, R-Truth is a comedic genius in terms of wrestling, right? Like wrestling terms. When you're that level of comedy in wrestling, I mean, it's rare, and I cracked up at that because of the way R-Truth said it. I remember even when R-Truth was talking about how the PlayStation 6 is going out of stock or something. I wasn't able to purchase the PlayStation 6. Obviously, it's the PlayStation 5. Like little things like that. I mean, R-Truth does. It's like he's in touch with reality, but he's not. And he's so convinced about what he's saying, but it's not right. I don't know. R-Truth is a beloved character for all time in WWE. But I will say, R-Truth was the only shining light in this entire segment, because yes, we got Angel Garza versus Damian Priest, but if I need to see one more time Bad Bunny and Damian Priest shake hands or do their little man hand slap like they're best bros, how many more times do we need to see that? And then have Bad Bunny run his mouth while Damian Priest is the one who backs him up. That's not babyface, guys. It's not. And then okay, I really don't even know where to begin with this. The match with Damian Priest and Angel Garza was good. It was good. It's what you expect. I don't know how, again, Damian Priest is being billed as the babyface here because he's with Bad Bunny, and they never want to make a celebrity a heel, I guess. It's just not something they do. They always want to make them look the best they can. But we get, again, Angel Garza very physical. Hit the clothesline that he hit on Damian Priest was the clothesline that I'm talking about was the one that knocked him to the outside of the ring. When Angel Garza knocked Damian Priest to the outside of the ring. Woo, yikes is all I got to say about that. But we had Damian Priest eventually come out victorious, and Bad Bunny runs his mouth as he does, because that's what obnoxious celebrity guests do, because I don't know what else to do. We have the just constant single file line train that is always led by Akira Tozawa as the ninja, trying to go after the 24/7 championship. In typical single file, like good little schoolboys and schoolgirls going into to the building, we have that single file line. And then we have Bad Bunny sidestep one of the guys, I think, who he sidestepped and apparently was able to outmaneuver. Was one of the greatest, I think not one of the greatest, one of the most underrated wrestlers that WWE has had. And that man's name is Drew Gulag. Now, Drew Gulag, one of the most, I think, again, underrated performers, and you remember the team that he had with Daniel Bryan that I think could have gone a lot longer. We had them, Bad Bunny apparently be able to sidestep him, this guy that is more concerned about his sunglasses and shaking hands and with Damian Priest. Just because they're both Latin and they both can speak Spanish, I guess, is the connection there. Maybe there's more. Maybe are they cousins or something? I don't know. I don't understand it. But you can't tell me that somebody who runs their mouth and also has backup is a babyface. Sorry. And you know how I know he's positioned as a babyface? Because you listen to the pumped in crowd noise. That's how you know. Because then you know exactly what they're trying to cast them as. He's cast as babyface. It's an absolute effing joke that this guy. After Royal Rumble, I said, "Oh God, thank God that's over." And here we are, 8 weeks later, and this dude is still on my TV. I don't care if you like his music. I'm sure his music is wonderful to you. I don't care that he has 30 million subscribers on YouTube. As a fan, I've gone through this. I understand why WWE is doing it from the money perspective and drawing more eyeballs. I understand that, all that. But from a wrestling fan's perspective that doesn't really give a damn about that kind of stuff, I don't care of what he's done outside of wrestling. I don't give a, you know what? I don't care. You know why? Because I watch wrestling to watch wrestling, not watch pretend wrestlers come in and make the actual wrestlers look like complete a-holes. That's what I don't watch wrestling for. I don't care who it is. Kevin Federline. I don't care if it's Snooki. Both of these have been on WWE programming. I don't care if it's Mark Cuban. I think he actually took a table bump. Mark Cuban did. I don't care if it's Bob Barker. I don't care if it's Shaquille O'Neal. I don't care if it's Mickey Rourke, who punched Jericho in the face and broke his nose or something. I mean, I don't care. For whatever reason, there's just this rule. When you bring somebody in as a celebrity, they have to make the guys and gals look there who are resident performers, who this is their craft that they've worked their life to do, can be outperformed, outmaneuvered, and outwitted by these total ignorant and just arrogant fools that come in as celebrities. And I don't care what you've done outside of the business. It means nothing. It would be like the equivalent, if you don't understand what I'm saying, it would be like the equivalent of Derek Jeter, one of the best New York Yankees of all time, one of the best baseball players of all time, first ballot Hall of Famer, going into the octagon and facing, I don't know, Brock Lesnar or John Jones, or if Derek Jeter went to play basketball, you'd go, whoa, cool, star power, he's here, but now I'm watching basketball. Is he going to play basketball, or is he just going to embarrass himself? And then it would be the equivalent of, well, okay, so I'll take the basketball example. He goes in and he, the team coach says to the players, take it easy on him, guys. Let him score a couple points on you. And then Derek Jeter comes out and he's doing layups around the guys that are there day in and day out. And all of a sudden you're like, what the hell is this? It's a disrespect to the people that are there at the expense of trying to get more eyeballs on your product. And I know I'm going to be outweighed by WWE management if I ever argue with this with them, which I'm sure that conversation will never happen. I'd be outweighed by money. I'd be outweighed by viewership. And I get that. And bringing eyeballs to the product, and he certainly has a large following. I don't understand it. If you like his music, that's wonderful to you. But to me, that is not an excuse for him coming in and making everybody else look like total fools. We saw it with Floyd Money Mayweather. I think he was a great heel, by the way. And the match he had with Big Show was actually, I think, over-delivered. But for him to not, for Floyd Money Mayweather to beat Big Show, even though he beat him with brass knucks, as a babyface, figure that. Ugh. They just have a long history of it. I mean, Pete Rose is maybe the only, along with a couple others, one of the only few willing to just do whatever they wanted. It was great. I remember Pete Rose getting tombstone twice by Kane. It was great. So, oh man, I could go on and on about the celebrity stuff. I always roll my eyes when they bring celebrities in. It's a joke because it's disrespectful and it makes the guys who are there look like idiots. And we're all supposed to cheer him. That's the worst part, is they're not even positioning them correctly. They're not casting them correctly. They're casting them in a babyface role, yet acting like a heel. And we're supposed to go, "Ooh, cool, Bad Bunny's here." Oh, effing kidding me. All right, well, let's move on. I'm going to try to find something more positive, because, again, we're all about balance here. Let's see, as I'm scrolling through. Jeff Hardy and Sheamus. I think he kind of knew where this was going. It was a hold me over for Sheamus. Sheamus beat Jeff Hardy quickly. It wasn't anything to write home about, but it continued Sheamus's all-important keyword, buzzword, corporate word, momentum. It did, though. It just kind of kept him on your radar as dominant. That's all it was for. And Jeff Hardy, again, is here for the give-back portion of his career. Those of you that can't accept that may want to start accepting that. The Intercontinental run he had earlier last year, I think it was like midsummer or so, that he had is, and maybe his final major title run. That's okay. The guy's been doing it for 20 years. He's had a hell of a career. I don't think he'll ever have a Universal or WWE title run. I'll be shocked if he even has an Intercontinental or US title run. He's in give-back mode, and that's okay. That's how this business works. So, I'm not saying Jeff Hardy's career is over, and he can't have flashes of greatness. Maybe go on a nice run. But his days of being the focus are long, long gone. I think his role is very well established now. Okay, Naomi and Lana defeat Mandy Rose and Dana Brooke. So I guess this is to decide who is next in line for a women's tag team title match. What happened here was, obviously Naomi and Lana win, and that's good. I think that's good. Naomi has been a little bit kind of lost in the sauce, so to speak, and even if it's a women's tag team title that she's after, at least it's something. There is that. And Lana and her seem to have a kind of weird natural chemistry together. I'm fine with it. And you know what? I think that they could become women's tag team champions sooner than later. And the reason I say that is, and probably soon as Fastlane, because I'm waiting for Nia Jax and Shayna Baszler to implode and for that to, for them to end. Now, you could also argue there, though, that they have actually had a decent run as probably the most dominant women's tag team in history. That's not saying too much, by the way, but it's probably true, that they have been the most dominant. So do they want to break that up? I would say if they have aspirations of Nia and Shayna going off on their own and possibly chasing the women's champion, then yes, possibly. But if it's about Charlotte and it's about Asuka towards WrestleMania, perhaps they don't split them up until after WrestleMania, and then it gives Charlotte new opponents to face after WrestleMania. So, just something to think about. Okay. Let's move on here. AJ Styles defeats Ricochet in a fairly quick match. I mean, this was... I don't see the purpose of this match. Seriously, I have no problem with it from a physical standpoint. We know what we're going to get here. It's like A+. I mean, that's fine. But I don't get it. The only interesting thing that happened here beyond AJ winning cleanly was we had Omos come into the ring, pick up Ricochet, and then just basically give him a double-arm chokeslam into the canvas. So we saw him do something, albeit very limited. I don't think Omos would put on a 5-star classic, if you know what I'm saying. Great presence, huge man, great for the camera, but not so great in ring. That's my take right now. I hope I'm wrong, Okay, let's see. I'm trying to see if there's anything else before I get to the main event, which saw a returning Braun Strowman, of course. I'd like to see Braun Strowman not eat the microphone when he's speaking. And now I've probably ruined his promos forever for you. But what I mean is he talks closer to the mic than anybody that has ever done promos ever. It's just like he's on top of the mic, and I don't know if that helps him accentuate his big monster scary voice. I don't know, but he's basically like his mouth is on the microphone. It's kind of gross. Okay. All right, so then we get Matt Riddle versus John Morrison, and I thought this was originally going to be for the U.S. title. I was wrong. It's just kind of like a filler match, but a good filler match that you know is going to be good, kind of like AJ and Ricochet was just kind of, let's throw these two together. It makes sense, though, that they did partake in the same match the night before with the triple threat with the United States Championship, so that makes sense. And John Morrison, I think we forget how good he is in the ring because he's so terrible as a character. It's crazy. And by the way, I meant to say this about Starship Pain. I am a big fan of, first of all, I'm a big fan of in-ring John Morrison. I don't say that a lot because I'm constantly ripping on his character because it's that awful. But in-ring John Morrison, if he would just stop talking every week, I think I'd become more of a fan of him. The Starship Pain move, first of all, it's insane. I mean, I love it. But it's like 95% flash, 5% impact. It's got to be one of the most, probably one of the lowest success rates of hitting it the way it should be hit on the opponent. The success rate's got to be like 20% or less. Because every time he does it, which is a beautiful move to watch, he grazes his opponent. And again, I know the accuracy of it is not easy to pull off. The move is insane. I know the difficulty is very high. And it's, a very visually pleasing move to watch. But it doesn't hit me as a finish outside of just the airtime. What he does in the air makes it look more effective than what he's actually landing on, because he barely lands it right, and it's just like a graze of his opponent, which I know is not supposed to be. But more often than not, that's what happens when he does this move. I know I've never talked about Starship Pain here, but I just wanted to bring that up. I love the move, but he doesn't either A, land it right most of the time, or if that is the intended reaction where he grazes his opponent instead of landing solidly on him, then that's a poor choice because it doesn't look that effective. It's all about the show. It's, as Jim Ross would say, it's all sizzle and no steak. How about that, Jim Ross? I stole a line from you. But I love it. I'm not saying he should change his finish. I do like it. So, you knew what you were going to get in this match, though. Physical. You could watch these two for 30 minutes. Just a very, I think, satisfying match with these two. And you knew exactly what you were going to get there. We got the clean victory by Riddle, as he should have, being the new United States Champion, which is fine. You know, I think it makes sense. I still don't understand why he's champion. You know what I think? I believe that had Keith Lee not gotten injured, Keith Lee would be champion. And they just needed to get the belt off of Lashley because they knew what they were going to do with him in the WWE title picture. And they needed to get the belt off of him, and they looked at it, and Morrison was the replacement. But they look at it and go, Morrison is champion? Well, you can't have The Miz and Morrison both holding the gold, although maybe there's an argument there. They didn't, I guess, trust or saw Morrison being a successful U.S. champion, and they just said, well, let's give it to the guy that hasn't won a match in 4 months. Seriously. I mean, Matt Riddle, I'm a big proponent of him in the ring, kind of like John Morrison, but he's also got a terrible gimmick. I know people, again, you guys are fine. Like, what are you talking about? He's cool, he's laid back. Yeah. But he's also kind of a goofy D-bag. I'm sorry, that's what he comes off to me. I'll say it again. He is like the guy at the frat house that is, sitting there smoking some weed, chilling back, talking about, wacky conspiracy theories, and just kind of sitting there in a daze with his eyes glazed over. That is the guy. The ultimate jock that's also kind of a D-bag. I don't know. I do not enjoy his character, just like John Morrison. On the flip side, as you guys think I'm just complaining, I love them in the ring. So good. If they could just find a character that wasn't so damn irritating, I think they would be much more successful and be able to put some more things together with their career. But I digress. So I just want to give you guys a little positive, because I'm sure there's some of you out there that's all he does is complain. Nope, I don't. I give it to you straight. I'm trying to balance things out. I don't lie. I don't just say it's good to just make sure I don't, anger people for being negative. We're straight here, folks. We are straight shooters. Okay, let's move on to what else happened here. I know I'm missing something. Well, I got the opening segment with the ultimatum that Lashley gave Miz, which again is probably the most that Lashley's ever spoken. And you knew that there had to be some kind of arrangement between the Miz and Lashley with what he did the night before, that if he cashed in, that he'd be the first one in line for the WWE Championship. That makes total sense. I like MVP as the talker. And, Lashley comes in for the easy kind of couple of liners that he can handle, hopefully. Let's move on. New Day defeats Mason T-Bar. First of all, this was not on the Hulu version of Raw, mercifully. That being said, how are Mason T-Bar still a thing? How are they even still here? I'm being serious. Is it because there's not really much of a tag team division at all? I mean, across both men and women's. I mean, maybe that's just what it is, and it's something for the New Day to do. And the little program that Kofi has going on offline, well, I say offline, off air with Mustafa Ali. Maybe that's what's keeping us alive. But Mason T-Bar, could anybody be less connected from these characters than we all are from Mason T-Bar? I'm being for real. Now, I'm not a Kofi Kingston personality fan, but I also I really love what he does in the ring. So I have nothing against what Kofi can do in the ring. None. Same with Xavier Woods, which I think is Xavier Woods is at least a little less tolerable as a character. But how is Retribution still a thing? How is it still a thing? All right, let's move on. Okay, Braun Strowman demanded a WWE Championship match. And Shane McMahon is back, by the way. Not that anybody really cares that much. But it's WrestleMania season, so hell, let's bring a McMahon back. At least that seems to be the running theme in WWE at WrestleMania season, is apparently the McMahons are needed. I don't know. But Shane said to Braun that that's not how this works around here. You can't just come out and demand a championship match. Really? That's not how it works? Oh, so you can't demand it, but then you get rewarded with an opportunity for it. Got it. Or apparently they haven't learned what is the secret to it, guys. They haven't learned it yet. You attack the champion, right? The long-held secret through generations and millennia of how to earn a championship match quick. Attack the champion. End of subject. They will reward you with an opportunity to take what they scratched and clawed to get. Right, because that makes sense. I'm saying that as a general statement among WWE. And as a whole, and really, in all of wrestling, all across all promotions, they're all guilty of this. And I guess it's not really a rant, because sometimes it's, how else are you going to get there? You can't always do a tournament. You can't always do qualifying matches. You can't always have them say, I want to face, the champion select somebody. I understand, but it's also kind of backwards that you attack a champion and you get rewarded with what they took their life's work to get. Like, what? However, Braun Strowman demanded it. Didn't get it, but pretty much got what he wanted anyway. So it was kind of like Shane said, you don't get it, but then here, you kind of get it. You got an opportunity to get a WWE Championship match with Bobby Lashley and The Miz in a triple threat if you can beat Bobby Lashley tonight. And you're immediately thinking, okay, well, they're going to win, right? He's going to win. He's going to be inserted. We're going to get a triple threat. That's not what happened. And this match was, I think, 5.5 minutes long. That didn't happen. Bobby Lashley beats Braun Strowman after kicking out of a power slam. and then hitting a spear and getting a 3 count on Strowman, which was a little wonky. I mean, I think there was a little bit of a miscommunication. No rant, just kind of a little slip up. It happens. But he beats Strowman with 1 spear, and then you're like, wait, what? Braun Strowman doesn't win, so where does Braun Strowman go? You know, you wonder what's next for Braun Strowman. Lashley gets a 1-on-1 next week, and that I think is, again, you already know my prediction on that. Then I think it's going to be a no contest, and Drew McIntyre is going to lay both guys out and hold the championship high and get a measure of revenge, and we get a triple threat setup starting next week. That's, I mean, it seems almost you know where you're going. Like, the destination has already been chosen. Let's just get on the journey to that destination is really where we're at. But Bobby Lashley, dominant. And I also like one little thing that Braun Strowman did, which was after the 3 count, after the referee hit the mat for the 3, he immediately kicked out. That doesn't happen too often. It was something I noticed, but I've advocated for this, I don't know how many weeks ago, months ago. I remember talking about it briefly. We almost never see that. Kane did it at WrestleMania 14 against The Undertaker. And it's a small thing, but it's important. Why is it important? Because if you're trying to, the idea is that you're trying to get off your back as quick as you can. Because that's how you lose, is being on your back for 3 seconds. And once the referee hits the 3 and Braun Strowman kicks out, it creates the illusion that he was actually trying to kick out, even though maybe his arm did come down for the 3 and he tries to come out and he just missed it, right? It's just that little extra thing. How often do you see a kick out after the 3? Almost never is the answer. And it was something small, but I like that. And I would like to see more of that when applicable. Not all the time, but just something to keep in mind. So Braun Strowman is beat. Lashley holds the championship high. I gotta say, it looks good for him. It looks really good on his or holding above his head. I did enjoy that. That was nice to see, but I hope that's not the closest we get. I hope the closest is him actually winning. So there is that. Oh, one last thing. I don't know how I missed this. Cedric Alexander and Shelton Benjamin defeat Lucha House Party in a Tornado Tag Team match. So, yeah, I guess we do have kind of a tag team division. The Hurt Business is a little fragmented right now, with Bobby Lashley doing his own thing, and Cedric and Shelton doing their own thing. I have again, Shelton and Cedric getting the victory here, and that's fine. I think this match was not exactly something to write home about. It was just, let's give the Hurt Business a little bit more momentum. Let's continue with them and their winning ways. That's really all this was about. So there is that. Whew, I think I covered it all. I'm sure that I will be told that I didn't. I seemingly always miss one or two things on Monday night because, again, I watch Hulu, but I do cover in and fill in the holes, as they say, with everything else that I read and watch highlights of. So that is it for our Monday Night Raw review, everybody. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, give us a rating and review on Apple Podcasts. Go hit that subscribe button. You can also support us using the Amazon link on our website, or you can head on over to Patreon and get an ad-free experience for $1 a month. They have an app too, by the way. You don't have to use a browser. So if you're worried, I don't want to have to go in a browser, you don't. You download the Patreon app and search for the WWE podcast, and we're right there. So again, tomorrow, dual show. We get one with your wrestling nostalgia. I still don't have a topic, but I'll come up with one. It's usually, I get like an inspiration or an epiphany during the day. And we get our mailbag, and you guys are filling that up very quickly as usual. You guys are just making my nights longer and longer. I think last week's was over an hour and a half show. So that is certainly, it's a good time. It's a good time, though. I like hearing what you guys have to say. And then, of course, I'll be back on Sunday with Ashley Mann, I promise, with a week in review. So she will be here for reals on Sunday, and then everything else in between with Michael Ritter's SmackDown, Mimi's highs and lows of the week. We have rivalries from Anthony DeMarco. NXT with Zach Smith. totally stacked week as we roll on into WrestleMania season. So, one last thing. If you want to be a possible AEW podcast reviewer here on the show, email me at realwwepodcast@gmail.com, where we are seeing what's out there, testing the fields to see who may be interested in covering AEW on a weekly basis and when they have pay-per-views. So if you're interested, then hit us up, realwwepodcast@gmail.com. Guys, thank you so much for listening, and as always, I'll talk to you next time.